You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Thursday, the 27th of July. PM Modi takes a dig at opposition alliance. High decibel unrest continues in Parliament. US officials to meet Taliban in Doha to discuss economy rights issues. And Shia community in Kashmir takes out Muharram procession after 3 decades. And now for all the details. Launching a scathing attack against the opposition alliance I.N.D.I.A, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday termed the naming as an attempt to cover up their past deeds under a new label. Addressing a public rally in Rajasthan, he said if the opposition alliance had really cared about India, they would not have asked for an interference in internal affairs. Recalling slogans of Quit India, PM Modi said today's slogan is Corruption Quit India and Appeasement Quit India.
जैसे गांधी जी ने क्विट इंडिया का मंत्र दिया था, वैसे ही आज का मंत्र है भ्रष्टाचार क्विट इंडिया, भ्रष्टाचार छोड़ो इंडिया, परिवारवाद क्विट इंडिया, परिवारवाद छोड़ो इंडिया, तुष्टीकरण क्विट इंडिया, तुष्टीकरण छोड़ो इंडिया। क्विट इंडिया ही देश को बचाएगा और देश को विकसित भारत बनाएगा।
Meanwhile, the parliamentary business continued to be paralyzed for the 4th day this week as lawmakers from the government and opposition parties remained at loggerheads over discussion on the Manipur violence. There was high decibel unrest, especially during Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar's statement in Rajya Sabha, as sloganeering by the opposition superseded his remarks. The opposition alliance, adamant for the PM's statement on Manipur, has said that government has adopted a dictatorial attitude and is diverting the attention from the issue. Moving on, the floods in India's Assam state have also taken a toll on the wildlife in the Kaziranga National Park, where the deluge has claimed lives of at least 9 animals, including 2 one-horned rhinos. At least 9 animals, including 2 one-horned rhinoceros, deer and wild buffaloes, have died after water from swollen Brahmaputra river flooded the famous Kaziranga National Park in India's Assam this week. Large portions of the park have been submerged. However, water levels have started to recede, a forest official said. Heavy rains in Assam earlier this month inundated swathes of farmlands and villages, forcing thousands of villagers to flee from their homes and shift to roads and higher lands.
So far, the flood water has been receding. It is in downward trend right now. We are also monitoring the situation. If there is any emergency situation arises, we will also initiate our highway management measures. And so far, during flood, we have had death of 9 animals.
Meanwhile, hundreds of vehicles were submerged in a commercial neighborhood in northern Noida city near New Delhi after the Hindon River overflowed. Residents also found it difficult to commute on Wednesday after heavy rains poured the national capital region, leading to heavy waterlogging in some areas that further caused traffic snarls.
अरे भीगते हुए आ रहा हूँ, इधर उधर पानी भरा है, साइकिल वालों को कुछ समझते ही नहीं।
Moving on, Pakistan's Finance Minister Ishaq Dar had said on Thursday that China has rolled over a $2.4 billion loan to Islamabad for a period of 2 years, a move aimed at helping the country overcome one of its worst economic crises. Dar on Twitter said Pakistan will make interest payments only over the next 2 years, meaning the waiver is only for the principal loan amount. Pakistan's fragile foreign exchange reserves are still only enough to pay the import bill for a period of 2 months. It earlier secured a last gasp of $3 billion IMF bailout in June. This was followed by a further $2 billion of financial support from Saudi Arabia and $1 billion from the UAE. The next 2 reviews of the IMF deal will pass through political uncertainty ahead of general elections due later this year. Moving on, the U.S. State Department Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel said on Wednesday that U.S. officials will meet Taliban representatives and technocratic professionals from key Afghan ministries during a visit to Doha this week. Envoys Thomas West and Rina Amiri will meet the Taliban delegation to discuss humanitarian support for Afghanistan security issues, women's rights and the Afghans' economic stabilization. Patel firmly said that the meetings, however, do not mean any kind of indication of formal recognition.
United States, we have been very clear is that we will engage with the Taliban appropriately when it is our interest and in our interest to do so. This is not intended to mean any kind of indication of recognition or any kind of indication of normalization or legitimacy of the Taliban. Afghanistan, the egregious human rights abuses that the Taliban is undertaking, their marginalization of Afghan women and girls, all of those things and many others continue to be of immense concern to the United States.
Well, Nepal's parliament on Wednesday witnessed a high-voltage commotion by opposition lawmakers over the recent seizure of at least 100 kilograms of smuggled gold in Kathmandu. Accusing the government of shielding the culprits, lawmakers demanded resignation from Home Minister Narayan Shrestha and Finance Minister Prakash Sharan Mehet, claiming they are not fit for the post after the latest scam. They also asked for a high-level parliamentary committee to investigate the matter. Department of Revenue investigation had confiscated 8 cartons containing smuggled gold in form of cargo package that arrived from Hong Kong. While the federal agency was able to arrest about 1.5 dozen people, the person at the top of the string remains anonymous.
आज पछिल्लो 2-3 महिनाको अवधिमा करिब 20 क्विन्टल भन्दा बढी सुन नेपालमा तस्करी भइसक्यो। त्यसको समर्थन गर्ने काम स्वयं मन्त्रीहरू आफै बसेर गर्नुभएको छ, उहाँहरूको सेटिङमा भएको छ। यति धेरै गम्भीर कुराहरूलाई हामीले सामान्य रूपमा लिन सक्दैनौँ सभामुख महोदय। त्यसकारणले हामी भन्न चाहन्छौँ यसको विषयमा अत्यन्तै गम्भीरतापूर्वक सरकारले यो विषयको छानबिन गर्नका निम्ति उच्चस्तरीय छानबिन समिति बन्नु पर्यो। संसदबाट उच्चस्तरीय छानबिन समिति बन्नका निम्ति सभामुखज्यूबाट रुलिङको समेत हामी माग गर्न चाहन्छौँ सभामुख महोदय।
And Bangladesh's foreign ministry on Wednesday summoned top diplomats of 13 foreign missions stationed in Dhaka days after they issued a joint statement over the assault on an independent election candidate, local media reported. The 13 embassies, which included the US, Britain and European Union in their statement, had condemned the attack and called for a free, fair and peaceful election in the process in Bangladesh. Expressing displeasure, Dhaka termed the joint communique as undiplomatic behavior and advised ambassadors to refrain from such actions in future. The diplomats were warned that bypassing the government and behaving devoid of neutrality will create a crisis of mutual trust. News agency UNB quoted Deputy Foreign Minister Shahriar Alam as saying, "In past few months, Western governments have raised concern over the election process in Bangladesh. However, PM Sheikh Hasina's administration has termed it as foreign interference in the country's internal issues." And after a gap of more than 3 decades, the Shia community in India's Jammu and Kashmir on Thursday took out a massive Muharram procession on a traditional route in Srinagar city. Hundreds of mourners took part amid tight security arrangements as the authorities had granted a 2-hour window for the procession on the route that passes through the busy Lal Chowk area. The procession had not taken place since 1989 in the backdrop of law and order situation in the region. Muharram marks the death anniversary of Imam Hussain, the grandson of Prophet Mohammad. The Shia community around the world marks the period of mourning with prayers and grand processions.
हम थैंक यू कहना चाहते हैं एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का, ऑनरेबल लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर का, जिन्होंने एटलीस्ट ये कंसिडर किया कि एक इमोशन है, एक मेजॉरिटी है यहाँ पे हम शिया पॉपुलेशन की। और यकीन से मैं ये भी कह सकता हूँ कि जब ये ऑर्डर आया कल रात को तो लोगों को रात की नींदें उड़ चुकी थी और 6 बजे का टाइम था, लेकिन रात के 12-1 बजे से लोग आना शुरू कर चुके थे। और इस वक्त भी आप देख सकते हैं कि कितने लोग कश्मीर के कोने कोने से यहाँ पे आए हैं और इमाम हुसैन के लिए यहाँ पे एक साथ जमा हुए हैं। और एक मैसेज है, जो मैसेज है पीस का, जो मैसेज है यूनिटी का, जो मैसेज है एक प्योर सैक्रिफाइस का, जो मुहर्रम के महीने में इमाम हुसैन के जरिए हम पूरी दुनिया को देना चाहते हैं।
Well, that's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow.